What is the most toxic thing a parent can say to a child? We're moving and you're not welcome. This is what my dad said to me while blackout drunk. After he took my sister's pizza that I made, ate it in front of me, and then threw the pizza at me after I asked him why the frick he's like that and walked away. We were supposed to be moving to a new place the next couple weeks after this fight. In my experience, divorced parents that say stuff like, "Don't talk about that to your other parent. Tell your other parent this. Your other parent is trying to manipulate you. You see what other parent did? I'm not saying you should hate them, but isn't bit freaked up that they did that? It really screws with the kid's head. If you're ever going through a divorce and have children, please find a way to sort your crap with your former spouse without involving your children more than necessary. If you're so depressed, why aren't you cutting? Cut deeper and kill yourself." She also forced me to sleep outside regularly. Dad let me in sometimes after midnight. She starts screaming and crying that she knows my dad and I are having an affair or he wouldn't have let me in. Oh, and ugly remarks about my appearance. How no one will ever love me or be friends with me. Which I guess she's right about that one. I gave up everything I liked for you. 95? Why not 100? Why can't you be like so and so's child? They do. One impressive thing, a bit subtler than the top comments here but can eat a child's self-worth and guilt them well into adulthood and pass by standard alarms. I remember bringing home a report card with a 99 grade out of 100 and being so proud, and my mother saying, "There's still room for improvement." 1. You are useless. 2. No man would ever want to marry you. 3. I wish I never had you. G. Thanks mom for showing me I am worth something. Sarcasm. 2 decades have gone by and it still pinches me today. The list goes on, but those 3 statements were repeatedly said. I would never treat my children like that. Heck, when I have kids they are not visiting their grandparents without supervision. This time I will stand up to them. I have nothing to lose this time. It's been 20 years. Better late than never. You're going to die alone. Even worse, you're going to end up alone, but said casually in response to a comment I made about a reality show. That's my dad's specialty. Incredibly crappy comments said in a harmless tone out of nowhere. LOL. But those comments say a lot about him and nothing about me. It may not be as harsh as other things stated, but the dreaded "it's all in your head, you are just imagining it." As it turned out, I wasn't imagining it, and now I struggle to differentiate what's real and what's not because I was led to believe I thought I was imagining things constantly. Gaslighting is such a horrible thing to do, especially to a kid. You are not alone. I always need a second opinion because I think mine is invalid and I imagine things. I always feel like I am the problem in every situation. Threatening suicide when you try to set a boundary. There's other things, arguably worse, but I don't feel comfortable sharing them. This actually happened to my cousin. Her father committed suicide when she was 8. From then on her mother became an alcoholic. After losing custody of her kids, she was eventually granted the ability to see her kids unsupervised, which did not pan out. The kids spent the weekend with her, but pretty soon she started drinking very heavily. My cousin told her she would have to tell another adult that she was drinking, and the mom started calling her all sorts of terrible names, so my cousin ran to the bathroom and locked the door behind her. I swear to God, the mom actually said to her own 15-year-old daughter, "When the police ask you why both your parents are dead, you'll know what to tell them. I'm going to kill myself just like your father did, and both will be your fault." My cousin is so sweet, funny, and pretty, and she's one of my favorite people in the planet. She is so kind, and she got dealt a crappy hand. Your cousin probably still needs help, because she might consciously or unconsciously think that saying certain things to people will cause them to commit suicide. Especially because she is such a nice person, I am saying this. You're a useless disappointment. Do you think you'll ever amount to anything? You're pathetic. You're like a tiny little ant. I could destroy you so easily. I don't deserve you. I'm too good of a parent for you. You're an abuser. It's insane when parents try to flip the abuser card on an actual child. You're so abusive. Runs crying outside because you wouldn't hug them after they screamed at you so much spittle flew from their face. When I was 11, I overheard my mother telling someone that at least my looks meant she didn't have to worry about me being molested or raped. That fricked me up for years. Man, I'm so sorry. My mom said something similar but less horrible and it still bothers me. She said I'm not good looking enough to get a guy to marry me. The only way I'd ever find a guy is if I have a good education and can make a good career out of it to get good money. Your uncle wouldn't mess with you if you didn't walk around the house like a mess. Not told to me, but a childhood friend. Her uncle was arrested a few years after that, but the thing that hurt her the worst is that her mother assumed it was her fault. My mom laughed at me when I said that I most likely have a mental illness or a disorder. Then she asked me if my grades were okay and I said yes. Then she replied that it's okay. I've been asking her to get me therapy for almost 7 years now. Insulting your intelligence is a horrible thing for a parent to do. Something where if a friend or stranger had said it you might just laugh, shrug it off. But your own parent saying it? A good parent should stay away from anything that can ruin your self-esteem because they hold a lot more power than they tend to realize. My parents said I should have known who won all the World Cups, capital city of each country. All meanwhile they kept telling me to shut up whenever I asked questions. The whole time I was in school I tried my hardest to be the smartest person in the room. Until now I don't believe it when friends tell me I'm smart. After I got accepted to my dream college my mom told me I'm too stupid to actually go and succeed. I graduated high school with honors. But I thought she was right. I dropped out before I even went. Still regret it. Parents like yours get my blood boiling. They get kids to believe stupid things, which is not even the kid's fault, and then effectively ruin the kids' lives. Then they say see, I was RGHT all along, which damages the kids even further. Hope you will recover from that in the future. And NBSP. Thank you kind stranger for the award. The classics from my work as a voluntary well-being counselor. Why do you always make me sad, or now you've made me sad? I wanted a better, nicer child. You don't really want this. I know you. You want. Insert whatever parent wants. I'm so disappointed now. And combined with silent treatment and or crying. Oof, I have heard all 4 of these from my mother. Bonus. I didn't raise you to be like this. Usually used if I made a decision that went against her own wishes. One Friday when I was somewhere in the 8-10 year old range we were going shopping. We were walking towards the mall behind a group of young guys in their late teens early 20s. They were laughing and joking, seemingly having the time of their life. It looked like a lot of fun. I pointed at them and told my mom that it reminded me of the song my dad used to play, The Boys Are Back in Town, an old Thin Lizzy song. My mom looked straight ahead and bluntly answered, you will never experience that. It wasn't exactly the kind of answer I had hoped to get. All I could get out of my mouth was, what? You won't, was her final saying on the matter. Way to ruin a Friday evening. If your parents comparing you to others or they are insensitive to their actions. My friend's parents always compare him, my friend, to his older brother, and it messes him up so much that he has low self-confidence. Questioning my father on why golden child is so obviously the golden child. Do you love him more, Dad? Dad, when you have kids you'll understand. Well, now I have kids and I still don't get it. When you have kids you'll understand why your dad was a dong. Oh, never mind. You got being a dong was bad early on and decided it was the right thing not to be one. Your dad is so stupid he didn't understand something a child could get. Not the most toxic by far, but potentially the most common. Making fun of your kid for making a change in their life for the better. I was always antisocial and the complete opposite of athletic. When I began to try and work out to gain some muscle, I got teased by my parents. All that did was discourage me and make me want to quit. This could go for anything. Is your kid antisocial? The WLLOOKW ho decided to Eliavethiakava ND join us is freaking toxic and just encourages them to stay in their room. If your kid decides to make a positive change in their life, don't freaking discourage them so you can get an easy laugh. After telling them about my sexual abuse at the hands of a family member, it happened 20 years ago. Get over it already. People deal with all sorts of crap. So what if he did things to you? If you didn't want it to happen you should have told somebody. When I spoke to the police, if you report it it'll rip this family apart and it'd most likely kill us. You can't do that. We will have to protect him. prison and people who touch kids isn't a safe place. After the police spoke to them, he is our son too. We have to protect him, abuser, as well as you, victim. Bit dark but it's my reality. That second comment makes me seethe. I'd have gone straight to the police anyway. I'd probably also end up in jail on charges of aggravated assault. Every time I look at your face I see him, telling me I'm the result of a rape. Then years and years later I regret never getting you aborted. I booked the appointment and everything. Cheers mum. In all honesty she should have placed you for adoption by a family who would just love you if she couldn't be bitter, angry, and lash out at you for something that had nothing to do with you. I am sorry for all your pain. Say it son. I'm P. I'm a frickin' P. Say it. I'm a worthless sack of crap that amounts to nothing. Freaking zero. Nothing. Say it. Yeah I had a fun childhood LMAO. I felt that too man. It's more common than you think. My dad once threw me into a wall and dragged me across the floor by my hair. I left for a few days because I didn't feel safe, but came back because I couldn't leave my sister. At the end of it all he said, I'm not sorry for what I did and I won't apologize. Bonus. My mom told me that all the bad things that happened to me are my fault and I deserve them. Even the 2 accidents I was in, that weren't my fault. Yes. So I deserve to be molested by that guy, too? You probably did. I'll remind her this next time something happens to her. It's your fault she died my mum to me after my aunt passed away from a massive heart attack. After learning her son had raped me since I was 3. Thank you for the upvotes and comments. This was said to me age 7. The abuse continued till I was 13. Last year I severed contact with my whole family. It's been difficult but my mental health has improved immensely. I'm in a living supportive relationship and are expecting. I'm proud to know this child will not know the horrors of my family. I'm speechless. Hope you're kind of okay. I wish I aborted you. There were other things but that one really sticks in my head. We were going to abort you. Every day I regret not going through with it. This was said to my ex by her father. I still can't really process it 30+ years later. My mom has 4 kids, and once when I was about 15 she unprovokedly, I know it's not a word, but it works, told me she never wanted kids and the only reason she had us was because my dad wanted kids. My little sister was a mistake and my older ones are twins so that's how she had 4. None of us talk to her, and she makes no effort to talk with her kids. It recently was my 30th birthday and she texted me happy birthday. Long story short, the most toxic thing a parent can do is stop being a parent. My heart breaks for each and every commenter on this thread. I am so sorry for your pain, and I hope you can overcome. That actually sounds like a super supportive parent. I remember my mom calling me a S when I was 15. I was cut off financially at 18, still in high school. I'm the family disappointment for not going to college. I did online classes so I wouldn't have to pay rent. Apparently online classes weren't good enough so I still had to pay rent. My siblings still get everything paid for. 3 years ago I was going through money issues and couldn't afford groceries, so I didn't eat. My parents took my sister grocery shopping monthly as she was in college making something of herself. You're the reason behind every problem in this family, said to me word for word by my mother because I had a migraine and requested that they help keep my sisters as quiet as possible because I was hurting. I even asked to just be let out of the car so I could bus home but they wouldn't let me do that either. They wouldn't help me with problems and they wouldn't let me help myself. How TF am I the reason behind every problem? You think I freaking want migraines? No I freaking don't. It hurts so bad that it's increased my pain tolerance to the point that I have to have oozing pus sacs before I even notice an infection. I didn't ask for that amount of pain. If I had a choice I wouldn't hurt but sure I caused every problem in the family by having a chronic illness. Your family is scapegoating you for being a mild inconvenience at times. I hope you get the help you need both for the physical pain and the emotional pain. You don't have the right to privacy. You are a child. You have no rights. At least I'm putting a roof over your head. I wish I never had you. To add to this, you're not old enough to deserve respect and I'm only legally required to provide food, a bed, and blah blah blah. When I was 15, used to live with my dad, just the two of us in a room, just one room 10 feet x 10 feet square, community toilet, you get the gist. So one day I cooked some instant noodles, used spoon to eat, didn't have a fork, dropped the spoon while eating, so in a hurry I grab another one. An hour or two later dad returns from work, sees two spoons in the corner near the tap and utensils, which were kept in a corner so that I can wash them when the water supply comes. He enters the room, sees those two spoons and says, "What did you need the second spoon for? To frick your butt?" First time I have told this to anyone. I translated what he said that day but couldn't translate the derogatory and abusive tone he used. Thank you for reading. That is so incredibly bizarre. My father, I wish I would have worn a condom while doing anal so it wouldn't have leaked down and you were born. To be fair, I'm about 80% sure it was a joke, but dang, that hurt regardless. Either way, that's definitely too much information for your own child. It's all in your head. No crap, Dad. It's called a mental illness. Maybe if you didn't gaslight me and actually took me to the doctor like you were supposed to half a year ago, I wouldn't have tried to become new paint for a choo-choo train. But hey, what do I know? You dropped out of high school and I almost graduated with a perfect GPA if it wasn't for that balls. But yeah, you know more about mental health than me. Definitely. Dad, you ruined the family. When I finally had the guts to tell someone that my uncle, his sister's husband, was sexually abusing me for several years. I'm so sorry. My grandmother said this to me too when I went to the police about my pedophile uncle who abused me and several other family members. She wanted to keep it a family secret even though everyone knew. To keep up appearances. You have real courage for coming forward. Hugs to you, mate. My dad once told me he missed when I was a little kid, because back then I was dependent on him and couldn't say no. I told that to a psychiatrist and her eyes dang near fell out of her face. Cue me screaming no sexual assault, apostrophe. This is horrible. Parents who love having a power dynamic over their kids for their pleasure is freaking disgusting. I'm sorry for what you had to go through. When I was a wee child playing Star Wars pod races on the Nintendo 64, I finally got second place in one of the races I had been losing on for weeks. I was so pumped about it. I ran to tell my mother and she said, "Wow, you know second place is the first loser." My dreams were crushed. "I sacrificed my life for you so you have to do what I said. Who cares what you think? You live under my roof, thus you obey me." That and throwing a tantrum in front of the whole bus and my roommates in college, in separate occasions. Who cares what you think? I felt that. I am not asking you due to it, it is an order. Why did I give birth to you? I wish you were never born. You are ruining my life, or you ruined my life. How dare you disobey me? You are a disappointment, or any insult tbh, or comparing you to other kids, or to your siblings. It's like you've just written a playbook that my parents read on how to raise children. How uncanny. I just want to repeat something that you seriously not a dude said in one of their comments. These comments say a lot more about the people that said them than they do about you. I hope everyone in this thread is doing okay. You are not my child. When I said I don't want to be religious anymore, ultra religious family, and for the second time she said it, when she discovered I'm dating a Christian girl, I'm Jewish. For which I replied, "It's okay, I got used to it." Most of the things people have contributed are insults or direct attacks. But I think probably the most toxic thing a parent can say to a child is any form of, "Nobody will ever love you as much as I do," or "I'm the only one who really loves you." Because it's the psychological equivalent of a bear trap. Its purpose isn't just to hurt the kid, but to keep them from ever leaving. Its purpose is to convince the kid that there's no point in trying to escape abuse. My mother told me when I was 8 that nobody likes a fat girl. I wasn't even really overweight. That and many other things she said, and it made me develop an eating disorder at the age of 8. More than 30 years later, and a lot more mental abuse, I still struggle with the whole eating thing. Why do you have to be so weird, listening to your weird music and crap like that? My favorite music band I was listening to that time period was indie pop. I really enjoyed their music. After I got that comment, I felt like I wasn't supposed to be going outside of mainstream for my general interests. Like it was wrong to be enjoying something different. Really messed me up for a while because I would shun other people for having non-mainstream interests and think they were weird. My friend's parents literally called her good for nothing throughout her childhood and put her through constant verbal abuse. She was a brilliant student in school and we were close friends. I didn't notice it at that time, but whenever she scored somewhat less marks on a test she would get really tensed up, and not in a normal way. It was straight up sweating and gasping for breath. Turns out it was her parents calling her good for nothing which caused this. We drifted apart after school ended as she became more and more introverted, and I really regret it since I should have stood by her and helped her emotionally. She committed suicide last week. That's so freaked up. I hope you're doing well. By the time we were your age we had our careers sorted. That's all well and good, but it's A, not 30 years ago. B, university isn't free like it was in the 70s. C, jobs are a lot more competitive, and D, the world has been on lockdown for a year. How am I supposed to get a career sorted? On that note, when I was your age, I was really popular. You're just not trying hard enough. Well, thanks mom. That sure helped when I was getting bullied. Your dad only ever wanted 3 kids. I am the 4th child. They split after I was born. Then he remarried and had 3 kids and was told, see now he has his perfect 3 kids. My stepmom had several miscarriages and dad didn't tell us she was pregnant due to the fact they were worried about having another miscarriage. He only told us once she had bub. Dad lives in a different city. Was told many times by my mother he doesn't even care about you anymore. He wouldn't even tell you that she was pregnant. Why would he want you anymore? He has new kids now. Knowing full well what has happened and why dad didn't want to tell us. Claims to be a feminist but is very much a sexist. Also claims to be an advocate for domestic violence. Told her I was scared of an ex-boyfriend and she told me to suck it up because she needed her bathroom redone. He is a plumber. Yells, screams and throws stuff at my stepdad. And puts him down constantly. Told her my boss, at the time, came and drunk and tried to fill me up and she didn't want anything to do with it. 16 years old. She could tell you all the info about females' domestic violence but couldn't give a crap about the male's info. To her that was just stupid and no one cares about them. Told me every chance she could to marry a rich fella and stay skinny and then take him for everything I could. She would also tell people that were having trouble getting pregnant that I would carry the child for them and that I would just suck it up and do it for the money. I was 14 years, 18 years and she was setting up people to contact me to be a surrogate. Money means everything to her. As I am the youngest and skinniest, I was just a piece of meat that men would like me better, and that means date a different tradesman so she can get a free house renovation, and all I would have to do is sleep with them until she needed a different tradesman's. I did not do this. After I dated the plumber, I wasn't going to let her use my body to get her free stuff, or somehow make money from my body, be a surrogate to her friends. She has really messed up my life and I will not let her in my life or my children's. She continues to cry victim but is a manipulator. When I met my partner, father to my children, I would say sorry for every little thing that went wrong and continue to let my family walk all over me until he stood up for me and taught me self-love and don't do anything you are not happy with. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.